Hey everybody, welcome to Leading Thriving Cities. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners. This is our show where we shine a spotlight on leadership in public service. And we have deep conversations about sustainability and how we build a thriving future for our cities. Today's guest is Chris Whittaker. He's the City Manager of Magnolia, Texas. And Chris has a background having served in the military and now in city management. I always love when I get to interview people that have been through service to the military and then are also in public service after they get out. I think it's a fascinating connection. He's going to help us understand how that influenced his career and how that makes him a better leader in public service. I can't wait for you to see this conversation. Thank you for joining us on Leading Thriving Cities. Chris, thank you so much for driving in to do this, man. We're excited to have this conversation, brother.
Yeah, I'm sorry I dressed down for you and didn't dress up as I normally do.
So what Chris is referencing, and Emily, we need to put a picture of this on the screen. You have a suit, and it's a very specific suit. Can you describe it to us?
Yeah, so it's that floor mat we all grew up on, with the roads and the trees and the fire department, and I've got the full suit with the tie. So depending on whether being formal,
sure,
maybe that one I wore just the jacket.
Yeah.
If I'm really dressing up, it's the
full blown affair
with the grass flip flops.
Yep. So this is for all of y'all listening to this and not watching it. Go to YouTube, search for Leading Thriving Cities. We are going to have that on there, and trust me when I tell you it's worth going and check it out.
But it wasn't legit because the roads were perfect. The trees were full and green. So I took a Sharpie and drew some potholes on there just to make it
make it realistic.
Oh, now
yeah.
Got it. We believe it's real now. Right?
Somebody's like, I can see my house from here.
Yes.
I like that a lot. So this is going to be an interesting conversation because you had a long career in the military, in the Army specifically, I believe.
Yep.
And I see your airborne wings you're wearing there. So you've
got my toy soldier Army.
You got your toy soldier Army shirt, and you've done things to earn those wings. And so I'm always fascinated by people that have that career and then make that transition into public service. So as you were kind of getting towards the end of your career in the Army, what was it that made you look at public service and specifically city management and say, you know what, that's how I want to spend my next decade or two?
So I really didn't plan on growing up to be a city manager or transitioning to be a city manager. I really didn't know what it was about. I kind of knew things, stuff flowed underground and potholes and angry people protesting their taxes and those kind of things.
Yeah.
But I retired, moved to Austin with no job just to kind of decompress and take some time off after the 26 years. And a friend of mine was a HR director in a company here in Austin.
Yeah.
And said, hey, they're looking for someone with a military background to be a city manager in Rockdale.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I said, well, what's city management and where's Rockdale? Because I was new to Austin.
Yeah.
And I threw my resume in the next day.
Yeah.
And they called me and I went out in boots and jeans and a collared shirt and interviewed and thought they're not going to hire me.
The boots and jeans and collared shirt, was this, I'm not certain what the dress code is, so this is just how I'm doing this?
Yeah. So
you get what you get.
Yeah. So in small towns, the only people that wear coat and tie are bankers.
Yep.
And funeral directors.
But
I
not
knew
city
I
managers.
was none of those. So
city management does a lot, but we're not bankers. We're not funeral directors.
Right. But to be, I guess, accessible and real, it was one of those things to wear what everyone else is kind of wearing. Yeah. And so when you're wearing a Western hat in a small town and boots and jeans, people are most likely to come talk to you versus if I'm wearing a suit and hiding in an office somewhere.
That's interesting. So this opportunity just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So I was interviewing for different jobs and thought I was going to be this corporate guy to do logistics like I did in the Army. Mm-hmm. And it popped out of nowhere. And I said, well, I'm going to see what this is about. But they like my background. They like the operational stuff I had done, the problem solving. And I think that's what city management is about.
Yeah. Well, we had Dean Heward on. He was actually one of our first few guests.
Great guy.
And he's actually the one that reached out and he's like, hey, you need to interview Chris. And
big mistake.
It was he's not known as a judge of character. It's fine. But ultimately what I find interesting about that is so much of the stuff you do in leadership in the Army translates exactly to city management. You're essentially running small cities, only sometimes in war zones.
Sure.
I find that fascinating. Now, you spent the majority of your career, if I read everything correctly, overseas. Is that accurate?
14 out of 26 years. I was in some great places like Germany, Italy, and then I was in places like Iraq and Afghanistan and Kosovo and Bosnia that weren't so great, but great operational and problem-solving experiences.
Is that leadership in the Army, is it the majority of the job is problem-solving, isn't it?
It is, and dealing with people. Yeah. So taking that right person, saying, we got this operation, you're in charge, let's gather your team, here's the parameters, and go and execute.
Yeah.
And so I find it similar in city management.
Yeah.
Right person, right job. Go do it.
I'm curious about your perspective, having spent so long overseas. Did you learn things about how they do things in foreign cities or foreign towns that you can then translate? It gives you a different perspective than most people that are running cities in Texas.
So one of the big things I learned, and I wrote an article on partnership, and it's really kind of like what we're doing. We're sharing back and forth, getting to know each other, and then figuring out how we can work together. And that was a big lesson learned for me, and realization. That's what I can take forward. And same thing in cities, right? Let's meet with the chamber. Let's meet with Rotary. Let's listen to our council members. Let's listen to the angry water customer and find out what the problem is and how do we solve it and work together to do that.
Yeah, city management is kind of this hub that touches every different piece of that equation.
Yeah.
And I would imagine when you think about logistics in the Army, it is a lot of that. Okay, you're at the center of this hub, and there's 1,000 different factors that we have to think about.
Yeah, and I think problem solving in city management and the Army are the same, where you just have to have this sort of template of how do we figure it out.
Yeah.
So we get hit with a problem. It's different every time, but maybe there's a little matrix in our head we can go down to. Hey, let me direct you to so-and-so. Let's get someone else involved and then have a discussion, figure out a solution, and then be like Nike and just do it, right?
Yeah.
Let's not spend 6 months staffing something if we don't have to.
Yeah. Well, the framework of step 1, 2, 3, like it doesn't matter what the problem is. We're going to apply this framework to it. That's a lot of what I find is missing in organizations where we've got, Department A and Department B can't seem to get along and can't communicate. Well, nobody's ever given them a framework for how to do that well. We just assume, well, these are adults, they'll figure it out. And if they have a consistent framework, and we did this recently with an organization where they created a framework for how to have challenging conversations, and they had been avoiding them like crazy because nobody really knew how to do it well. And so that problem solving, we're going to apply the same framework every time. We're going to find the solutions. That it gives you confidence then, I'm guessing, in, hey, we can figure out just about anything.
Yeah. And as cities change leaderships too, all the employees are in this big, like, on hold quagmire. Like, what do we do? Is this approved? How do we get this approved?
Yeah.
Until the next person comes in and says, all right, here's the direction. Let's, what's the problem? Okay, now we've got a solution that's, I'll call it 75% correct.
Yeah.
And let's move it on.
Do you have an example of, like, what was one of the craziest problems you had to solve in the Army that anybody outside of Army life would look at and go, really? That's a problem? Like, what? That's crazy to me. What are some of those things you had to tackle that are just big and hairy?
So one deployment was to Romania, and I'm not going to say that's a hardship because we were near the Black Sea and it was summertime and lots of beach time.
Deployment / vacation.
Yeah. But we were operating under an old Soviet air base, which is now a training facility for the Romanians and Bulgarians and U.S. and all that. And the base commander, Cold War Romanian base commander. So he's been operating under the way he's been told for years and years and years. The wall goes down, all the empires collapse, and now he's got a bunch of Americans on his base, and we were the first.
Yeah.
And how do we work with him? they want access to this, but I'm a little bit territorial. How do we move those things on?
Yeah.
And it was just a very interesting watching another culture. Like we can't approach it as Americans. We have to approach it as from his perspective as a, in his all his glory. They had, 27 aircraft there that were poised to do great things for Romania. Now he's dealing with these Americans that are all over his base and do things.
That's interesting. So did you learn a lot about being able to kind of, you said we got to think about it not as Americans, but kind of put ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah.
Did that kind of help you develop that strength of empathy and of understanding, okay, I see where they're coming from, so now I'm going to approach it differently?
Yeah. So another story I love to tell is I don't smoke. I smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Every couple years, once a year, very infrequently.
Yeah.
But we went to Iraq and our primary mission was partnership. And so my partners were Iraqi general and his staff, and I'd go over and visit, and we'd have dinner and chai, tea afterwards. And I always brought them cigarettes because they had, the American Indian ones or and so I brought Marlboros and I brought
you brought the good stuff.
Yeah, I brought the good stuff. And I'd hand to them and say, hey, you guys have this.
Yeah.
And after a while, they're like, hey, Chris, you got to smoke with us. And I'm like, But I ended up doing it for a year, and I quit when I was done.
Yeah.
But it was that whole like social interaction, build the relationship, where sometimes we're very, and I think I heard Emily Crawford talk about this. Sometimes we're all about business and solving other people's problems. Let's listen, let's take it in, come up with a solution, and then figure it out together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That ability to connect with people through whatever means, whether it's smoking a cigarette together or just kind of considering them and understanding them, that happens in public service. That comes in handy all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's the angry water customer yesterday, heading out the door. How come our water bill is so high?
Yeah.
How come that we don't have the new meter? How come we want a discount? We want some of those things, like taking all that in, processing it, and then saying, hey, so, we'll pull your water bill. We'll see when the usage is, and we'll get you on the schedule for the new water bill.
Yeah.
Water meter. And then you'll have the software to see your own water bill, and it gives them the solution.
Yeah.
So, but taking all that in, like kind of, and every water customer is different. So it's the same sort of thing, like apply the template.
Yep.
And then
that makes
see
sense.
How we move it forward.
Well, and them feeling like you care in the process is what makes that work, right? So it's not just a robotic exchange. It's we care about you. Is there things, so I think so much of leadership in the Army translates incredibly well to city management. Are there some things that surprised you that maybe don't translate well, that you thought, okay, here's how we do it in the Army, this is going to totally work, and you tried it and it didn't quite work in public service?
So it was definitely a transition for me, moving from a very structured, authoritarian sort of organization where you can say, hey, Chad, go do that.
Yeah.
I want it done by Friday. Yep. Come back and tell me you're done.
And you get a yes, sir, and they go do it.
And they go do it, or if they don't, and something. But so coming in and be a little bit softer and a little bit consensus building like for staff. Hey, this is the direction I think we need to move, right?
Here's why.
Here's why.
Yeah.
And then how do we do it?
Yeah.
And so taking a little bit more time on the front side and saying, let's talk about this a little bit and talk about why we need to do it and then how we do it.
If you had more of that in the Army, would it improve the Army or would it cause the whole system to collapse?
Well, I was one of the problems in the Army, so me retiring definitely solved the problem.
It's been running great since then.
I
don't know.
It's like on the way, it's way up, Fortune 500. So it happens a little bit in the Army.
Yeah.
You take your staff, you ask them questions. Here's where we need to go. This is why we're doing it. You all come up with a plan. For example, we had to do protection for ourselves. So we had gun trucks and security and those kind of things. Well, our folks had never done that. And so how do you move from A to B? And we said, all right, come tell us the plan. You guys go out, think about it, come back. And then we'll walk through the best solution together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most valuable thing you can do for an employee is say, you all solve the problem, come back and tell me, and we'll talk through solution B, maybe the better solution.
Yeah. One of the things I've heard a lot in city management is you have to become comfortable with the idea that a person is probably not going to wreck the entire city with one choice. So let's empower them to make more choices. Let's support them along the way. And, if one goes off track, hey, we're going to help you get it back on track. We're going to help you learn from that.
Yeah. So there's in city government and in the military, you have to have this ability to be forgiving organization.
Yeah.
Meaning, we told you go do this, or this is your job. It didn't quite turn out right. Let's talk about how it can be better next time, next budget season, or next project we do. Do we forget to include someone? Do we not listen to everyone in that aspect?
What's one thing you really wish people understood about leadership in public service specifically? Because I think it's, again, if we tell people we're city manager, or you say that, not everybody knows what that is. What do you wish they understood about the challenges of leading in public service?
So we're a smaller city in Magnolia. We're 5,000 people, but there's 5,000 ideas, or just like the water bill issue, there's 5,000 opinions on how that should be settled and rectified. And so it's a balance of listening to your council and your mayor. It's listening to the residents. It's listening to staff, and then putting that all together in a direction. Okay, we want to modernize. We want to be more efficient. We want to be whatever. Well, how do we do that? Is that a software? Is that a promotion? Is that a policy that we need to write? And so you're always thinking, what's the best avenue to do that?
So as a city manager, you're both a uniter and a filter all at the same time, to bring all the ideas together and then kind of run them through a filter to say, what's the direction out of all these different opinions and ideas? That's interesting.
So we had I'll give you an example. We had a recent project upgrade the city council. You couldn't hear people. It wasn't ADA, all that kind of stuff. So we went and got a vendor. We said, hey, this is the staff said, this is what we need. And we said, all right, this is the best way to move it forward. And when it hit council, they're like, hey, maybe look at this, maybe look at that. And so, and you think in the hindsight thing, like, how could I have done this differently to make it go through? Or it's really not a problem. We'll reglue it, and then we'll put it back on the agenda and move it through. It's not an emotional decision. It works within the time and the budget and those kind of things.
I think that's a trap a lot of public employees can fall into, is the emotional side of things, where it is, hey, I've put a ton of time and energy in this, and so I need them to say yes to this, because if they say no to this, they're saying no to me. And we kind of equate our value with that thing getting approved that we've put time into.
Absolutely.
But that's really hard, because so much of public service is we serve at the will of the council. And so we are going to put forth all this professionalism and all this effort. They might say no. And can I have a 20, 30, 40-year career and still be thriving at the end if I'm tying up all my value in them always saying yes? There's an open-handedness, I think, to staying healthy in city management, is you just hold it with an open hand. I'm going to give you the best advice and the best of everything. Then you choose. That's your job.
Yeah, and I think we take the experiences we have and say, hey, under this council I did this, and this was a proven success. And under this one it failed. And under this one, we don't know where it's going to go, because we're just starting that process. And you try to take all the best practices and what you think the best route is, but you could be wrong at the end of the day, or they don't care, or it's tough. And so, like you said, you have to just take that and say, okay, we didn't do this. This is not what they want. I'm unemotional about it. We're going to not do it. Or we're going to try a different way to move it on. And so it's that sort of problem solving thing. Like, do I keep messing with it, or do I put it down and step away?
Well, and whenever the emotion kicks in, then we're mad about the choice or whatever it is, and that ultimately doesn't help anybody, especially if we're the leaders that are upset.
Yeah.
Now, you spent 26 years in the Army. About how long have you been in public service since then?
I'm working on 10 years, or
10 years.
10 years this year, or something like that.
So take us back roughly 36 years. You got young Chris who's just starting in the Army. You've obviously learned a lot and grown as a leader over that time. What are some of those kind of internal things you had to overcome in order to develop into the leader that you are today?
So I think part of it's you have to overcome failure. And whether I'm at 1 year in government service or 36 years, I have to understand that it failed. I'm okay. We're all okay, and move on. My first assignment, I have a nickname from the Army, and it's Crash.
Okay.
So in the first 8 months of my Army career, not my fault.
To be clear, but
I wrecked a tank.
Hold on. I want everybody. Are we ready for this? This might be the best story we've ever heard on this show.
I'll tell you the story.
Please do.
If you have 4 hours. No, just kidding.
Brief version, but I want to hear how you wrecked a tank, because I'm guessing tanks relatively durable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Relatively. So I had to tell the story when I retired, because a bunch of my friends from my first assignment were there, knew my nickname, and I had to say, here's the story so y'all can hear it from me and not embellish it when y'all tell your stories.
Sure.
But it was my first assignment. We went to a place called Baumholder, Germany, and Baumholder is either up or it's down.
Okay.
There's no flat.
Yeah.
And it was snowing. It was February of 1991, and it was cold. And we were doing maneuvers with some infantry guys. So 70-ton tank, M1 Abrams. At that time, it was $2.5 million. Now they're at 7.
But before I laugh too much at this story, nobody died, right?
No one died.
Okay, good. I just don't want to get to the end. I'm
hurt,
cackling, and you're like, killed 3 people.
No.
Okay,
feelings
just
were
checking.
Hurt. We had a good lunch. I survived my career.
So how do we specifically wreck a tank? How does one go about that?
So there was 4 tanks in column, going up and down over hills, and we were sliding. And in fact, we told our boss this morning, in the morning before we went out, like, "Hey, boss, it's really slick. We're sliding.
Yeah,
we're slipping. Do you think we should go out?" And he's like, "Go do it."
Yeah.
Okay. So the first tank goes over the hill. My tank's going over the hill, and I'm the tank commander too. So I'm up in the tank, good view, and I see him spinning down the hill.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Driver, stop." Well, by the time he hit the brakes, we're over the hill and we're going down.
Yeah.
And we're spinning.
Yeah.
So it's a little scary, 70 tons in a circle, spinning down the hill like a sled. Well, we told everyone to stop. The third tank didn't quite hear the stop thing. And first tank stops, we stop. That third tank spinning down hit my tank.
Okay.
And, hey, brace. Prepare, it's going to happen. And it was so frame of car, right? If you bend the frame, it's done.
It's out. Yeah.
Well,
is it the same for tanks?
Yeah. So the whole tank itself, minus the turret and the wheels and all that, is one piece.
Yeah.
But when it gets bent, you're done.
It's just done.
And so spun down, hit our tank. Everything on the training area stops. The food truck comes out. The safety guys come out.
Yep.
And that was the end of training for the day. And I had to hop in another tank. But that at that time, I think they're now $7.5 million, $2.5 million.
Yeah.
The Army says it's done.
Yeah.
We're taking it out of the inventory because the hole is cracked.
Wow.
And I went to maintenance after that. So that was like, God saying, armor, no, maintenance, yes.
Well, I was wondering if they didn't look at you and go, "Hey, Crash, have you considered the airborne? You seem like airborne material."
Well, I did that too.
I know. That's why I was wondering how we made that transition. Turns out you wreck a tank or two.
That's right. So
I love that, man. Thank you for sharing that story.
It's one of those things like, again, we didn't do anything wrong. We followed direction.
And it still happens.
It was a freak of nature kind of thing. Yeah. But the Army was forgiving enough at the time to say, okay, everyone keep moving on. Yep. Life goes on.
Happy everybody's alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as you've progressed and kind of transitioned from that career to this career, are there things you've had to overcome internally on that journey?
I think some of those things get highlighted again. You think back to your experience and say, I didn't have city manager experience, right, in the first one.
Yeah.
Well, what did I do in the Army? How do I translate this? And again, I'm not giving orders. We're having this group discussion and I'm saying, okay, now we've got a decision.
Yeah.
Let's move it on. And let's not be bureaucratic and let's not get our feelings hurt. My two favorite books are Ken Blanchard's The 1 Minute Monkey and The 1 Minute Monkey Meets the Manager and those kind of things about not taking someone else's problems.
Yeah.
Right. How do you help me solve the problem so that now I'm a better, whatever it is, person, professional.
Yeah. You're not just solving their problems for them. You're helping them develop and grow and figure it out. Yeah.
And that was a lot of Army-ish experience. Like, hey, how do we solve this problem? How do I grow you? And you're the better person, whether you stay with us or move on, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not territorial.
Yeah. I'm here to lead and help you be better all the time.
Yep.
So what would you go back and tell people that are considering a career in the Army right now?
I loved it. I would do it all again. I follow what the Army's doing, social media and where they're at and those kind of things. And I miss the people that I served with.
Yeah.
I can't remember all the, fuzzy details of what we did.
Yeah.
But it's about the people I serve with and when I see them again and the same guy that was with me when I wrecked my tank in those days. My last assignment, we played racquetball together at the Pentagon.
Nice.
I mean, what a neat way to go back and we talked about what we did in between and how we grew and the experiences we had. So.
Do you find that same type of camaraderie in public service?
Absolutely. I think when you go to a conference or you bump into someone in a seminar and you say, hey, remember we had a vendor out this week that I've known since my Rockdale days.
Yeah.
And we had this really great group of city managers, Brett Parker, John Aaron, Keith Whitfield, Ramon Maza.
That's a group of troublemakers.
They are, yes. Well, we used to get together, and that's that same sort of thing. We used to get together and eat lunch and commiserate and talk bad about our city leadership or talk about
nobody ever does that.
Talk bad about the red water or whatever the problem was, or how do we solve a problem?
Yeah,
and shuck vendors at each other and and those kind of things, and that's the neat part. Same thing like the Army. Hey, remember when we did this project together, or we talked about this, or
are there things that cities can do to kind of create that sense of camaraderie or foster it a little more within the city itself?
So I think it starts at the leadership level. So I've got to go do that, and then when we have a meeting called the MALT meeting.
Okay. Say more about that.
It's the Magnolia Adaptive Leadership Team.
Okay.
And so it's not all the directors, but it's directors and other key staff.
Yeah.
And so part of my job is, hey, let's go around the room and talk about what you're doing. Part of my job is leadership stuff. So we use the John Maxwell cards, right? And then I talk about what I'm doing as the city manager.
Yeah.
Hey, I went to Rotary today and I talked to so-and-so, and we're doing a partnership with the school district and all the things so they can see what my role is. And then I'm not just sitting behind a desk denying PTO or, not filling a pothole or something else. Right.
Yep. We're too busy denying PTO to fill the potholes. Right. Let's be honest.
It's one of my main goals in life, but
that's really funny.
But I think you have to, we have to, and I say we because it's team effort, but we have to talk about the goods, the challenges, how we do stuff as leaders. If they want to be a leader someday, they know, well, that's what that role should be about.
Yeah.
And I admit failures too. It's, hey, we tried to get this road done before school started, and it bled over into school, and the bus drivers all ticked off or something.
I'm curious because it takes vulnerability in order to say, hey, something didn't go the way I wanted it to, or I failed, or whatever it is. And that takes courage to be vulnerable. But people, they latch onto that in a good way when we do that. You talked about learning to accept failure through your career in the Army. Did that also allow you to be a little more vulnerable and to just admit mistakes and admit when something didn't go the way we wanted?
Yeah, and it's the same it's the same thing you did with the jacket, and we did crazy socks this week. But it's being human. It's being relatable. You know, I told him, hey, in 2 weeks I'm taking PTO, so I'm going to go move into a house. And so I'll be unavailable. I said, hey, I'm going to Austin. I'm having a good time, and do the podcast with Chad. And so they know what I'm doing.
You may have oversold that.
I know. But and I'll tell them I went and got a hair shave this morning, beard trimmed up.
There you go.
I went to Texas Chili in Austin. So they know what I'm doing. And I said, I'll have my phone. You can call me if you need me, but I'm not going to bug you. And
when we think about vulnerability, it humanizes leadership, right? And it makes people, I think they look at a leader and say, okay, if they're human and they can do this, then I'm human. I can do this too.
Right.
And it's a basic connection. But as you're describing that, it occurs to me, I've never thought of it this way, but really, in order to be vulnerable, you also have to not take yourself so seriously. And I think your jacket that you were describing is kind of a version of that. Emily, that's another chance to flash that up, by the way, if you want to time code that one.
Well, if you want to see another one there, Joe Serio's got one on his page.
Oh, does he really? Okay. I could see
bug
him wearing
him or
that.
something.
Yeah, I can see him doing that. But ultimately, it's you don't take yourself so seriously. And at that point, you're able to be more vulnerable. You're able to open up because you're not as worried about what other people think. And so that lack of ego, that ability to laugh at yourself, have you always been good at that, or have you had to learn how to do that?
Oh, I've done that forever.
That's just kind of your personality.
It's my thing.
Okay.
It's come out a little bit more since I retired from the Army.
Yeah.
When I was in the Army, it was like growing up. You had the granimals.
Yeah.
The elephant matches the elephant.
Yeah.
I don't have that anymore. They don't have that for adults. So I'm stuck with me, myself, and I making a decision about. But you have to.
That explains a lot, honestly.
But the jacket works because because people say, "Oh, okay, I'm coming to talk about city stuff and my role and who I am," and it's an identity too in that aspect.
Yeah. I like that. And I'm also now pondering how I can create adult granimals. I feel like there's a market there. I mean, that's the kind of crap people buy off Instagram all the time.
Well, let me know when you figure that out.
I will let you know. One of the things we're always trying to do is kind of further this conversation about thriving, about the fact that, so many people in public service, they are dedicated to mission. They are dedicated to service. And these are incredible things to be committed to.
Sure.
But if we're not also committed to thriving, we're going to burn out over the course of a 20, 30, 40-year career and be pretty miserable human beings.
Sure.
With that commitment to thriving, it requires doing new things. It requires stopping doing certain things and continuing doing other things. What are things cities need to completely rethink in order to allow their people to thrive over the next decade or two?
So I think cities are becoming very angry, and not staff per se, but the public. So Senate Bill 10 was just passed, and what's the impact? And
for those who don't know, explain what Senate Bill 10 does.
I would like to, but it's basically the voter approve rate, and I'm not sure exactly what the final version was.
Yep.
But so
essentially limits how cities can tax, right, in order to raise funds.
Yeah. So residents say, well, we want more services. We want you to fill more potholes. We want you to whatever. And then we get capped. And with inflation, it sometimes, 3 to 5%.
Doesn't keep up, does it?
It doesn't keep up. So then we cut something else, or healthcare goes up. And I know that's how we retain great employees. And so do you cut funding roads to fund healthcare, or do you cut healthcare to fund roads?
Yeah. Are there some incredibly hard conversations that are going to have to take place over the next 5 to 10 years in cities with the state itself.
Oh, absolutely. And part of its development and what cities can and can't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation a couple months ago talking about home rule versus general law.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, Chris, what do you think about going to home rule? And this is not the cities I'm in. And I said, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I'd have said absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me today, I said, I feel like everyone's becoming general law. Just do what the state says, and then you don't have much leeway elsewhere.
Yeah.
So what's the cost of the process?
Mm-hmm.
What's the pain in the public explaining it to go to something that's not really going to benefit the leadership, right?
Yeah. Well, and how do you navigate as a city? You got your city staff and you want them to show up engaged and excited and excited for the future. But then when you say cities are becoming more angry, like we see that across the field of public, what is allowable today to say to another human being face to face, you go back in time 20 years and said, by the way, human being, you're going to go say this to another human in 20 years. They would have been like, no, I'm not. That's horrible. That's becoming the norm. And so how do we help our people navigate that, knowing that they actually they're still serving this human being and they're still like, we have a lot to do with the outcome of that conversation. How do we help them navigate that?
I should be asking you that question since you've interviewed so many city managers. But I think you start with your employees and the direction of the folks that make the city run.
Yeah.
And it's employee appreciation, it's employee education.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where when someone says, can I go to a course, you should say yes.
Yeah.
And then figure out how to do it afterwards.
Yep.
Or bring the ice cream truck out or install the ice maker or things that mean something to the employees so they feel empowered.
Yeah.
Hey, we need another staff member. Let's go fight for it in the budget.
Yeah.
And if they feel part of that team and they feel that their ideas are being heard, and they will do great things. And they do. And that's the amazing part and the fun part for me about the job, right?
Yeah.
How to make all that work.
Well, in building those teams, we talk about the idea that everybody at a human level just wants to be loved and supported. And if we can help them feel that, it's almost an insulation against what happens outside of that, right? So if the way I always describe it, I actually did this the other day in a workshop, citizen gonna citizen, council gonna council. Like they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. What are we going to choose to do no matter what? How are we going to take care of each other? How are we going to lead? And I think there's something to making sure that everybody knows you are cared for, you are loved. Like, let me show you in all the different ways I can. Yeah. I think there's really something to that.
And that's a great point. Sometimes, I won't say you put the blinders on, but you kind of put the blinders on and say, as a staff, this is the direction we're going to go.
Yeah.
So we're not stovepiped. We're working as a team. We're talking to each other. We're communicating. And we're improving each other, regardless of what's going on the agenda, regardless of the angry water customers. Or my other favorite book is Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
Yeah.
So how do we help employees say, you just got chewed out by an angry water customer that you had nothing to do with?
Yeah.
But you're going to take that anger and kind of let it ride for a minute and then come back with the intelligent response.
Yeah.
So you don't get yourself in trouble, and B, you know how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
And
this is where I think communication matters so much in leadership, because it can look like we do have blinders on, right? When council, let's say they do something crazy, or let's say a citizen does something crazy, for us as the leader say, you know what? We're going to be okay anyway. Let's move forward. That can often feel like blinders. But what we're really doing is choosing how we are going to experience this. Because can we get pissed off? Sure. Can we rant and rave? Absolutely. Is that more harmful to us than anything else? Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's going to hurt all the people we lead. We're not choosing to put blinders on. We're choosing not to let it bother us. And to experience it differently. And we all have that ability, but the Emotional Intelligence 2.0, we have to actually learn how to do that. We're not often taught how to do that.
Yeah. Can you bleep the blinder part out? That That's one of my two. I shouldn't have told the crash story either.
Listen, none of that's coming out.
Okay.
That is gold.
Right.
That's all staying. It's in there.
Okay.
We are letting people hear that.
Okay.
No, I think it is interesting because I think it can often feel like we're not taking things as weighty as we need to. And it's this ability to say, no, I hear you. This does hurt. Like we always think of it in terms of vulnerability so we're going to be vulnerable. Yes, this does suck. And here's how we're going to move forward anyway. Mm-hmm. And those two things paired up together work really, really well. But that can often feel like maybe we're not really taking it as heavily as we should.
Yeah. I'm never going to solve that. One person that called about the water issue, they'll be mad and they'll curse the city and they'll say there's conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. but I have to take that in and say, how can I make this the best possible outcome for them? Right.
Well, and it occurs to me too that some of this involves not believing everything is about us.
Yeah.
You can have a customer come in and just chew you up one side and down the other. It probably has more to do with financial struggles in their life or things happening in their family. It really is not us. But if we take it on as us, that's where it starts to harm us. And we can choose to just believe that it's not about us.
But I say that I use that all the time with people. So, you go to a grocery store and you go get your stuff and you go to check out.
Yeah.
And there's the cashier, male, female, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I need to treat them with respect because I don't know what day they just had. They're on the second shift of his third job. And I'm not saying that's all the situations, but they had something in their life or their work life or whatever. If I can benefit them by being positive like that.
Yeah.
And same thing with employees. I came down to meet them and talk to them about something. They just had a bad experience. And so how do we help them go through that? How do we help them process and feel like they're okay in their environment? And create that safe environment, maybe.
It's really the heart of service. Whether you're at H-E-B checking out or you're with your employees or whatever it is going, hey, there's a human being in front of me. How can I serve them? How can I make their day just a little bit better? And I get a lot of flack for I'll talk to any random human being. But like the interactions with checkout people at H-E-B, I love those because I say, hey, how's your day going? And they're used to hearing that. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, no, really, like, tell me about your day. How's it going? And there's something about that pause to say, I genuinely care right now. I have the best conversations in checkout lines.
Wow. Are you writing a book about that?
Someday, yes.
Okay.
You know what? Checkout line wisdom. Could you write that down? I've had like several book ideas today. They're already getting really irritated that we haven't got the first one quite published and we're already 3 books in my head.
Yeah.
So no, I like that.
Okay. Well, I'll share something with you after.
Yeah.
On the sort of along that same subject.
Please do. As you've kind of made this transition, you've had this long career in the military, now a lengthy career in city management. You look forward and say, okay, how do I want to continue to grow as a leader and as a city manager? What do you look ahead and see ahead of you in terms of growth?
Personal growth or?
Yeah.
So in the military, I always tell everyone I had lots of promotions, lots of awards, lots of decorations, all those kind of things. I don't need those anymore personally.
Hold on. You're saying we don't need more medals in public service? I kind of think we do.
I get away from my old Army stuff to remind me that I was once that or something.
Yeah. But there needs to be a city manager Purple Heart equivalent.
Yeah, or something. But I think it's, I feel like I'm in the profession to give back. I feel like when I reached a certain point in my military career, it was like I did an ROTC assignment. And so back in my alma mater, and I got to teach 500 cadets stuff as part of being an instructor staff. And I get to see them retire and get promoted and be successful.
Yeah.
And so I love that part of city management.
Yeah.
Like, how do we fix the infrastructure, but how do we create the malt team or the salt team or we just came up with log.
Okay. Is that your military history that every team needs an acronym?
Yes. I told them that in Magnolia when I came in. I said, look, we have a group of whatever we are.
Yes.
What's our identity? And it's got to be an acronym.
Bring me any idea, but it better have an acronym attached to it.
That's right. I said that, and they were like, they're like staff going around like, hey, what about this one? Oh, use that word here.
I love that. That's amazing.
but it's part of an identity, right?
Yeah.
So you're part of in Angleton, it was SALT Group.
Yeah.
Senior Angleton team. And it's clearly identifiable. You're part of a team. Whether you're a director or not, you're this conglomerate.
Yeah.
And in Angleton, we had the dog group.
Yeah.
And then it's develop Angleton working group. But, it would catch developers like, what's this group? And what's it about? Well, we're here to solve a problem.
That's really cool.
Help you out, right?
I like that.
So that's my military I'm always looking for an acronym.
So as you're going on this journey now of developing other leaders and really helping them along in their careers, is that something that lights you up in a way that other things have just not done previously when you're really working on development of people?
Yeah. So you can feel the impact. First day on the job in Magnolia, the road crew was out on a programmed road fix.
Yeah.
And we brought out some ice cream in a 7-Eleven cooler thing.
Yeah.
They'd never had that done before. And, it was a hot June day and they felt appreciated. And it's you got to take things like and opportunities like that to say, how do I impact their lives? How do I make them feel part of this team? Even though I don't see them every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in leadership presence, I always refer to it as like the blood flow of an organization. And if a leader doesn't show up to a part of the organization consistently, it's going to atrophy and kind of be on its own. And so is that something you've found that you're pretty good at, of being able to go, okay, I'm intentionally connecting with the different areas on a regular basis?
So that was one part of the military I brought with me was management by walking around.
Yeah.
And it's really leadership by walking around.
Yeah.
To quote, make it my own or something like that. Steal someone else's thing.
That's all I do. It's fine.
Exactly. But every time I interview somewhere, I say, look, I'm not going to stay in the office 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm in like 45% of the time. And the rest of the time I'm at a meeting. I'm figuring out when they're working on a water line.
Delivering
watching
ice cream.
Them mow, delivering ice cream.
Yep.
Those kind of things. How do I be impactful? And I said, you can reach me by phone. You can call me. You can text me. But don't look to find me in my office.
Yeah.
Sitting in a meeting.
I like that. I like that you lay that down ahead of time, right? Because what you don't want to do is get hired and then you're in the office 45% of the time and you keep getting counsel going, where the hell are you, man?
Right.
That's not a conversation you want to have. So I like laying that down ahead of time.
And I've had those conversations with different folks like, hey, we never see you in the office.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you can call me. Second of all, I'm probably at a meeting or visiting with employees.
Yeah.
Ride-alongs with police officers or public works crews at night or city staff that are in their cubicle that never see visitors.
Yep.
They all need that that socialization.
Yeah.
And it helps too. In previous jobs, we were building a police station. And not everyone's privy to those plans or the progress. So that was my opportunity to go around and say, hey, have you seen the police station going up and it's on time or it's behind schedule, or so they know what's going on and they feel part of that, of the greater organization.
Well, and anytime a leader, especially you start talking night shift workers, anytime a leader shows up, they're blown away. They're like, holy crap, they actually care about us. Because that's what I hear most from people working night shifts is leadership doesn't really know what we do. I don't even know if they care. So that presence matters. That's really interesting.
So in Rockdale, we were, blue, everything's blue for the school and all that. We had a dispatcher and she worked a lot of night shifts. And we changed the personnel policy, like no colored hair. And that was really on the police side because they're all pretty like,
Yeah.
Your officer, white, right?
If your officer pulls you over and they got blue hair, that feels weird for some reason.
But the dispatcher wanted to do colored hair. And I said, no, can't do that. I'm not going to go over the chief, and that's his policy and those kind of things. Well, I waited till like the day was done. She was on shift.
Yeah.
And I spray painted my hair with like the blue air something spray.
Yeah.
And I walked up like right when I was off duty. So like 5:15, I was over there.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You can't do that." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "That's against the personnel policy." I said, "Well, I'm off duty. I can." And it was that, you can wash it out real quick. So the next day I was back to normal. I wasn't like, flaunting it for a week.
Yeah.
But the same sort of thing, like, "Hey, no, you can't do this. I'm supporting the chief.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have a little fun with it.
I'm still supporting you too."
Yeah. We're going to have that conversation about color. And she had that face like,
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Just gotta mix it up.
So your leadership style involves a lot of very brightly colored suits, but also hair, apparently.
Yes.
I really like that. Man, Chris, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah, Chad,
thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Thanks for teaching me something.
Hey, this is why I love doing this. We all learn from each other all the time. It's a blast.
But if you got a second, I'll tell you, we can rehash that story before when I walked in.
Yeah.
I said, Chad, I like to listen to you, and I've never really watched the podcast. And until a couple days ago, I realized like everyone's wearing business professional and whatever. I said, I thought I was going to come in with my Army shirt, my shorts and flip-flops, and you're just going to have my professional photo hanging on the right. And
no, it turns out this is in living color, man. We spent a lot of money to make it look like this.
So I almost ended up in flip-flops today. So.
We would have taken it. We're good with that. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Leading Thriving Cities. At Forward Partners, we are dedicated to helping teams in public service learn how to thrive. We do this through leadership retreats, trainings, and online courses. We are constantly creating new resources to help your teams. If you'd like to find more information, you can find us at forwardpartners.net. We would love to connect with you and come help your team thrive.